The city lights blurred through my tears as I stared out from the 47th floor of Turner Technologies. My laptop was still open on my desk, displaying the devastating email that had just destroyed 5 years of hard work. Due to recent performance issues and security concerns, Rebecca Chen is hereby removed as lead developer of Project Nexus, effective immediately. I'm Rebecca Chen, 29, and until 10 minutes ago, I was leading the most innovative cybersecurity project in Turner Technologies' history. Now I was watching my career implode because of security concerns that made absolutely no sense. You should go home, Rebecca. Marcus Turner's voice came from behind me. My boss, no, my former boss, stood in my office doorway, his perfectly tailored suit and carefully styled gray hair a stark contrast to my disheveled appearance. It will pack up your things. Standard procedure for security risks. The smirk in his voice made my hands curl into fists. We both know I'm not a security risk, Marcus. What's really going on? He stepped into my office, closing the door. The artificial sympathy on his face made my skin crawl. The evidence speaks for itself. Multiple security breaches traced to your access codes. Classified project details leaked to competitors. The board had no choice. That's impossible, I protested. I wrote half the security protocols myself. I would never. And yet, he interrupted smoothly, here we are. It's unfortunate, really. Such a promising career. He shook his head with mock sadness. At least you'll have more time with your father now. How is his treatment going? The casual mention of my dad's cancer made my blood run cold. Marcus knew I'd taken this project partly because the higher salary would help with dad's mounting medical bills. He'd even seemed supportive at first, fast-tracking my promotion to project lead 8 months ago. Now I wondered if he planned this all along. You know what's really unfortunate, Marcus? I kept my voice steady as I gathered my personal items. How the project started having problems right after you lost the promotion to CTO. His face hardened. Careful, Rebecca. You don't want to make accusations you can't prove. Like the ones you made against me. He stepped closer, dropping his sympathetic act. Listen carefully. Take the severance package, sign the NDA. Walk away quietly, otherwise, he glanced at the photo of my dad on my desk. Medical bills can be so devastating for families, can't they? The threat was clear. Fight this, and he'd make sure I never worked in tech again. With dad's treatment costs. Fine, I said, hating the tremor in my voice. I'll sign. Smart girl. He headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and the board meeting tomorrow? Don't bother coming. We'll inform the team about your unfortunate departure. After he left, I sank into my chair, mind racing. The security breaches had to be faked. I'd have noticed any real ones. But proving that, my phone buzzed. A text from Lisa, my best friend since college and Turner Technologies head of its security. Server room. Now, don't let anyone see you. I grabbed my bag, heart pounding. The floor was mostly empty at this hour, just a few developers pulling late nights. Nobody noticed as I took the back stairs down to the server level. Lisa waited by the biometric scanner, her usual colorful attire replaced by serious black. I've got 5 minutes before the security logs show this door opening, she whispered, ushering me inside. Marcus thinks I'm running routine maintenance. The server room hummed with the sound of cooling fans and processing power. Lisa led me to her workstation, fingers flying over the keyboard. I knew something was wrong when the breach alerts started, she said, pulling up logs. The patterns were too perfect, too obvious, like someone wanted them to be found. Can you prove they're fake? Better. She clicked another window. I can prove who created them. But first, did Marcus mention your dad's treatment? I stiffened. How did you know? Because he's been asking it for access to personnel medical records. Said it was for insurance reviews. She turned to face me. Bex, this goes deeper than project sabotage. Look at this. The screen showed a complex web of financial transactions. Project budgets, vendor contracts, offshore accounts. Marcus has been skimming money from project funds for months, Lisa explained. Small amounts well hidden, but when the new CTO started auditing everything, he needed a scapegoat, I finished. Someone to take the fall before the audit reveals the missing money. And who better than the project lead who coincidentally had huge medical bills to pay? Lisa's voice was bitter. He's been setting this up for weeks. The fake security breaches, the leaked documents, all traced back to your access codes. My mind spun with implications. But why me specifically? There are other project leads. Because you were getting too close. Another window appeared. Emails I'd sent questioning certain budget discrepancies. These never reached the CTO. Marcus intercepted them. You were starting to see the pattern. I leaned against the server rack, feeling sick. So he destroys my career to cover his embezzlement. How much did he steal? At least 2 million, maybe more. Lisa handed me a flash drive. Everything's here. The real logs showing when the fake breaches were created, the financial trails, even security footage of Marcus accessing the servers after hours. Security footage? I straightened. You mean? Marcus disabled the main cameras, but not the backup system. I've got him on video planting the evidence against you. Timestamp matches exactly when the breaches were created. Hope flare for the first time since receiving that email. Lisa, this is career ending for him. Oh yeah. Her grin was fierce, but timing is crucial. The board meets tomorrow to approve your termination and officially close the investigation. Once that happens, the evidence gets buried, I realized, and Marcus walks away clean. Exactly. So, she cracked her knuckles. Want to crash a board meeting? I stared at the flash drive in my hand. 5 years of work. My reputation. My father's treatment. All hanging on what I did next. Marcus threatened my dad, I said quietly. If I fight this. He threatened your dad because he's scared. Lisa gripped my shoulders. He knows you're smarter than him. That's why he had to resort to this. But now we have proof. My phone buzzed. Another text from Marcus. Severance papers ready. Sign tomorrow before the board meeting. Don't make this difficult. I looked at Lisa, determination replacing fear. Show me everything. If we're doing this, we need to be perfect. She nodded, turning back to her screens. First, let's talk about those backup cameras Marcus didn't know about. The server room hummed around us as we worked through the night, piecing together evidence of corruption that went far deeper than anyone suspected. Tomorrow would change everything. But first, we had to survive until the board meeting. And Marcus? He was about to learn why he should never underestimate a programmer with nothing left to lose. The Turner Technologies boardroom felt colder than usual that morning. I sat in the waiting area, watching executives file in for the 9 a.m. meeting. Each one avoided my eyes. News of my security breaches had spread fast. My phone buzzed. Lisa, everything ready. Remember the sequence we planned. I touched the flash drive in my pocket, reviewing our strategy. Timing would be crucial. Too early, and Marcus could spin it. Too late, and the board's decision would be final. Ms. Chen. Marcus's voice dripped with false sympathy as he approached. I thought I told you not to come. You did. I stood straightening my blazer. But since you're ending my career with false accusations, I thought I deserved to face the board myself. His smile tightened. The severance paperwork is still unsigned. I met his gaze steadily, like my conscience. Before he could respond, Janet Wu, the new CTO, emerged from the boardroom. Mr. Turner? We're ready. She glanced at me, something like doubt crossing her face. Ms. Chen, I didn't expect. I have information relevant to the investigation, I said quickly. Information the board needs to hear. Marcus stepped between us. The evidence is already conclusive. This is just a formality. Then you won't mind if I present my side. I turned to Janet. Unless there's something Mr. Turner doesn't want the board to see. Janet's eyes narrowed slightly. She'd only been CTO for 2 months, the position Marcus had wanted, but her reputation for fairness was well known. The board should hear all sides, she decided. Come in, Ms. Chen. Marcus's face darkened, but he couldn't object without looking suspicious. I followed them into the boardroom, where 12 executives sat around the massive table. Chairman Douglas Freeman, a man I'd only met twice before, sat at the head. Ms. Chen, he frowned. This meeting was meant to be a formality? I interrupted, my heart pounding. To rubber stamp my termination based on evidence I was never allowed to examine. Murmurs around the table. Marcus took his seat, his face carefully neutral. The evidence is quite clear, he said smoothly. Multiple security breaches traced to your access codes. Project details leaked to competitors. Interesting timing, I cut in. These leaks started right after Ms. Wu became CTO and began auditing project budgets. Janet sat straighter. What are you suggesting? May I? I gestured to the presentation screen. Chairman Freeman nodded slowly. I plugged in the flash drive, feeling Marcus tense beside me. First, let's look at the actual server logs, not the doctored versions Mr. Turner provided. The real logs appeared on screen, showing access timestamps that didn't match the official record. I heard sharp intakes of breath around the table. These logs show the security breaches were created after hours, using an admin override. I clicked to the next screen. An override traced to this terminal. Security footage filled the screen. Crystal clear video of Marcus entering the server room at 11:42 p.m., 3 weeks ago. We watched in silence as he logged into my terminal, fingers flying over the keyboard. Impossible. Marcus stood abruptly. The security cameras were disabled. I smiled grimly. Only the main system. You missed the backup cameras it installed last month. More footage played. Marcus accessing financial records, creating false breach alerts, planting evidence. With each scanning frame, his face grew paler. And here's why. I switched to the financial data Lisa had uncovered. $2 million, siphoned from project budgets over 6 months. Small amounts, well hidden, but leading to the same offshore accounts. The boardroom erupted in shocked voices. Chairman Freeman raised his hand for silence. These are serious accusations, Ms. Chen. Mr. Turner? Marcus had recovered some composure. Fabricated evidence. Ms. Chen clearly created this in retaliation. The timestamps are authenticated. Janet interrupted, examining the logs. And these financial discrepancies, they match irregularities I've been investigating. There's more, I said quietly, pulling out a final document. Mr. Turner has been accessing confidential personnel files, specifically medical records of employees with high healthcare costs. I looked directly at Marcus. He needed someone with a plausible motive for stealing money. Someone like me, with a father fighting cancer. The silence was deafening. Marcus looked around the table, finding no allies in the shocked faces of his colleagues. This is absurd, he tried again. You can't possibly believe. The FBI already does. Lisa's voice came from the doorway. She entered, followed by 2 men in suits who definitely weren't executives. Special Agent Roberts. One introduced himself, showing his badge. Mr. Turner, we'd like to discuss some irregular financial transactions. What happened next was almost cinematic. Marcus bolted for the second door, only to find 2 more agents waiting. Within minutes, he was being led out in handcuffs, his carefully constructed world crumbling around him. Ms. Chen, Chairman Freeman's voice was grave. It seems we owe you an apology. The next few hours were a blur of statements, evidence turnovers, and revelations. The fraud went deeper than even Lisa and I had discovered. Marcus had been stealing from multiple projects, using blackmail and manipulation to cover his tracks. By evening, I was back in my office, watching it restore my access credentials. My termination had been rescinded, with a formal apology and a substantial editor-in-judgment compensation package. So Lisa perched on my desk, grinning. Bad day? I laughed for the first time in what felt like weeks. Just another Tuesday in corporate America, Ms. Chen. Janet Wu stood in my doorway. Do you have a moment? Lisa squeezed my shoulder and left us alone. Janet closed the door, looking uncharacteristically uncertain. I should have questioned the evidence more thoroughly, she began. As CTO. You were new to the role, I interrupted. Marcus took advantage of that. She nodded slowly. Well, I have a proposition for you. We need a new head of cybersecurity, someone who can prevent something like this from happening again. I blinked. You're offering a promotion. Substantial raise. Direct report to me, she smiled slightly. Unless you're too busy with Project Nexus? I thought about Dad's medical bills, about the stress of the past months. Can I think about it? Take the weekend. But Ms. Chen, her eyes were serious. We need people like you. People who fight for the truth, no matter the cost. After she left, I sat in my office, watching the city lights come on. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Everything okay? You missed our daily call. I smiled, typing back. Everything's great. Actually, can I come over? I have news. Later that night, sitting in Dad's hospital room, Sharing celebratory contraband ice cream, I told him everything. About Marcus's fraud, the evidence, the promotion offer. "I'm proud of you, Butterfly," he said, using his old nickname for me. "But weren't you scared?" I thought about those dark hours in the server room, about facing Marcus and the board. Terrified. "But you taught me something, remember? When Mom died?" He nodded, understanding in his eyes. The truth always comes out. It's just a matter of who's brave enough to tell it. 3 months later, I stood in my new office, head of cybersecurity, with a view of the city I'd once cried over. Lisa had been promoted too, now leading Project Nexus. We'd implemented new security protocols, ensuring no one could ever repeat Marcus's scheme. The investigation revealed over 20 employees he tried to blackmail using medical records. The company established a healthcare fund in response, ensuring no one would ever have to choose between treatment and integrity. Dad's doctors were optimistic about his latest scan. The promotion meant I could afford a new treatment protocol, one showing promising results. Marcus pleaded guilty to multiple federal charges. Sometimes I saw his wife in the hospital. Their son had leukemia, which explained his desperate grab for money. I still couldn't forgive him, but I could understand the fear that drove him. The backup cameras that caught him. They were my design, implemented months before as part of Project Nexus. He never knew that his own greed for the project he tried to sabotage would be his undoing. My new team hung a sign in our office. "The truth always comes out." It's become our unofficial motto, a reminder that in cybersecurity, like in life, integrity matters more than anything. Last week, a junior developer came to me shaking as she reported suspicious access to customer data. I remembered myself at her age, facing down corruption with nothing but truth and determination. "Tell me everything," I said, offering her a seat. "And remember, you did the right thing." Because that's what I've learned. The right thing isn't always the easy thing. But in the end, the truth doesn't just come out, it sets you free. Dad's cancer is in remission now. Sometimes he visits my office, proud to see his butterfly soaring. We keep a pint of ice cream in the break room freezer, just in case. And those city lights I once cried over? They remind me every evening that sometimes our darkest moments lead us exactly where we need to be. We just have to be brave enough to face them with truth as our shield.